Okay, shalom, shalom. Kwam Yasha Allah, Koholo Yimla, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well, and that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth. And just want to say the water to all the Akim and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai to the best of their ability. This is Yachanan Nawah, just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And I was reading this article, reading some of the comments, and there's this misconception that those so-called Jewish people that are over in Israel are not actual so-called white people. They're actually Edomites. The so-called white man here in America that may live in Tennessee up in some mountains, or he may live in a trailer park. They're the exact same people as those people that's over there in Israel saying that they're Jewish. They're the same people, just different tribes. Because Esau, Edom, that's the biblical name for the so-called white man. They have different tribes, just like Israel have different tribes, right? So, and I was just reading the comment boards and just reading through the article, and a little bit we can get out of it as far as like being edified, as far as the learning as to who the people of the earth are, because all nations have a biblical nationality. Lawsuit claims Arkansas group rejected woman's land purchase due to Jewish ancestry, black husband. So there's a discrepancy right there, because the so-called white woman calling herself Jewish is not actually the real Jew. The black husband is actually the real Jew. And a lot of our people are moving throughout the earth and they don't even notice. You are the royal people. You are the people of Yahweh, which the world ignorantly calls, Jehovah and, God and all these different titles, whatever. But the Lord's name is Yahweh, which means that he exists, or the existing one. And the true name of his son is Yahweh Shai, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus, right? And his name means savior or deliverer in the Paleo Hebrew. And if he was walking the earth today, he would be the original Judite. He would be a so-called black man, according to Revelation chapter 1. Matter of fact, let's go into that real quick. Esau is just being revealed. That's all that it is. Matter of fact, I was already in Romans 9 and 13. It says, as it is written, I'm going to read it in the Amplified, as it is written, and forever remains written, Jacob I loved, chose, protected, blessed, but Esau, so-called white man, I hated, held in disregard compared to Jacob, right? So, let me see, they got Jacob. The Israelites received God's protection and blessing. When you go into Jacob's name, the Edomites were left to God's judgment. See that? So the Edomites are on the planet today. But let's go to the description of the Lord. Let's start from the top, because this the book of Revelation, it goes into revealing. So it says, verse 1, the revelation of Yahweh Shah Mashiach, which God gave, Yahweh gave unto him to show unto his servants things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and signified it with his angels unto his servant John. Right? So let's jump down. Let's see what John saw. Verse 13. Let's start there. You know what? Okay, all right. Amplified, don't read it really too differently. Let's read it in the Amplified. Let's try it. Revelations 1, verse 13, it says, and in the midst of the lampstands, I saw someone like the Son of Man, dressed in a robe reaching to his feet, and with his golden sash wrapped around his chest. His head and his hairs were white like wool, glistening white like snow, and his eyes, all seeing eyes, were flashing like flames, like a flame of fire piercing into my being. His feet were like burnished white hot bronze, refined in a furnace, and his voice was powerful like the sounds of many waters. So they have bronze in the Amplified, but in the KJV it says brass, which they're pretty much about the same derivative, right? So when you go into let's go into it real quick, and I'll get into a little bit of this article in a sec. I just want to go into this because we go into it sometimes, but we have to keep Going back to the basics. I should have just put in burnt bronze. Bronze burned in the furnace, right? And you can clearly see when you put that in, it's all kinds of images come up. See, they know that the Lord would have been a dark melanated man, not this picture that you normally would see of who they ignorantly call Jesus, because that picture was created in, I think it was 1942. The one that people are accustomed to seeing, the one that you normally see in church houses and people's living room, and that picture was created in yeah, I think it was 1942. I can't think of the artist's name, but that's the one that people normally think when they see when they think of the Lord, they think of that picture. And so this has been up here for a long time, since I know for a fact, since I've come into the truth. Um, like this picture right here. See, full well the Lord don't look like this effeminate ass white guy, so-called white guy, because they're not actually white. They're actually pinkish to reddish in color. And see, they can't shake this now. It's really like the internet just overtaking them. And that's why one of them guys said, it was a bad idea for the internet to be created, so to speak, because it doesn't benefit Esau now, because people are looking up things. And what the Lord is just pretty much just exposing this man. But let's get into a little bit of the article. A real estate broker says an organization denied her the opportunity to purchase land in an Arkansas development because of her Jewish ancestry and because she has a black husband and biracial children. Because according to the lawsuit filed, so again, your seed line goes through your dad. So there's no such thing as biracial children. There's no such thing as that. Women have nothing to do with the ethnicity of children. So let's get that real quick. Let's just go into straight to the point here in numbers, because this is really, if she was a so-called Jew, and you know what, the those small hats, they say that you're actually Jewish because of your mother, and not, it has nothing to do with your father. What the scripture says totally opposite. The scripture says that you are who your father is. The women have nothing to do with ethnicity. Now the baby may come out looking like them. The baby may have all their features. Hell, could be come out looking like spitting image of her ass. Like they look like fucking twins. But that seed, it comes from the father, and that seed is within the father before he ever even meets this woman. You know. So the children are exactly what he is, and we're going to get that. We're going to prove it right here in Numbers chapter 1, verse 18. It says, "And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the second month, and they declared their pedigrees." What's your pedigree? Your pedigree is your family ancestry. And they declared their pedigrees after their families by the house of their fathers. See that? It don't say mothers. It don't say fathers and mothers. It says fathers, according to the number of the names from 20 years old and upward by their poll. This is how your lineage goes. And Esau, these so-called Israelis, they have the Torah. This is a part of the first 5 books. But we know that they go by the Talmud. And then also when you go into the history of Herod and certain that's pretty much how they got their lineage through pretty much dealing with Jewish women or so-called black women of the time, so to speak, because Edomite would deal with a so-called black woman. Now all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, this is how you're a certified Jew if it goes through your mother, and that's not the case. These people are converts, man. Anyway, let's go back into the article. The lawsuit filed in Arkansas on behalf of Michelle Walker names Return to the Land, a development whose owners have said they must personally confirm that applicants are white before they are accepted in Ozarks chapter, and 5 officers. Which I don't get why, you Jake, you're like the so-called black man, the husband, he should have been cutting into that bitch like, bitch, we not going nowhere near these people. So why would you even want to go there? Why would you want to go and be around your enemy? The scripture says to never trust thine enemy, man. But because she's a so-called Jewish, so-called white woman, but you putting your husband in danger, and the kids, these little beige ass kids you got. It says return to the land founders are explicitly attempting to establish an all white community. And that in itself right there shows you how Esau is getting down too. Esau, he wants to get away from you think the whole one of the reasons they want to get away from you niggas is because they don't want no mixing, no they want they want what they call a pure so-called white race. And here you go, so-called white woman come popping up with some nigga in there. With all the so-called white women looking at this nigga, because that's how the Edomite woman gets down. You know, she may be secretly, she may be acting as if we hate them niggers, but secretly deep down, she eyeballing the nigga. And Esau, he understands that. He understands that they're losing their women to the so-called black men. It says its founders believe that white people are genetically superior to other races, but you can't even stand in the sun without sunscreen, right? It says advance the view that Jewish people are engaged in a plot to eliminate the white race. Well, y'all the same people. That's the thing. You've been duped into believing that. But that's the power of Esau, them Amalekites, with their media and propaganda. They fooled you into thinking that they're not the same people as you. They are so-called white people too. They're Edomites. They're all Esau, Edom. An advocate for segregated white communities for the purpose of creating a separate all-white nation state that will help avoid white genocide. See, they know that they're dying off quicker than they're being born. Let's get that. Let's get Obadiah chapter 1. See, the Lord is knocking the asses off. They're not having children like that anymore. They're dying off quicker than they're being born. Now you will have some of these Edomites. They try and get to it. You know what I'm saying? They keep them women with a stomach. But the mass majority of Esau, they're through. Because Esau, he has shot himself in the foot. He has made it hard as hell for their own people to actually have a family. Used to be a time when a white woman would have 7, 8, 9, 10 damn kids. You know what I'm saying? They ain't doing no shit like that no more. They don't want nothing to do with one. Okay, Obadiah 1 and 2, it says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. See? In the Amplified, it says, behold, Edom, I shall humiliate you and make you small among the nations. You are greatly despised, and they are greatly despised. And, they're just trying to come back up, man. They're trying to get their numbers back up, and it's not going to work because the Lord is the Father of spirits. And he's the one that's got y'all shit on hold. It says, for decades, blacks and other minorities were restricted from buying or renting homes in some neighborhoods or areas due to racial covenants built into mortgages and leases. Yeah, that's Esau. And I don't get why y'all want to be around these people, man. Prospective home buyers also face redlining, in which mortgages and loans were denied based on race. Walker, a real estate broker who lives in St. Louis, applied to buy land last year in the town of Reverden, Arkansas, due to its below market price. Yeah, they're going to keep it below market for their own people. It said, okay, the city is about 150 miles northeast of Little Rock and just south of the state line with Missouri. She was asked questions during the application process about her ancestry, religion, and her family. According to the lawsuit, Walker is white and belongs to a Christian church. See? Yeah, you are white. I mean, at least you're not white. You're actually pinkish to reddish in color. You're a damn Edomite. It says Walker is white and belongs to a Christian church. Her Jewish ancestry is on her mother's side. See? So she could be an Israelite. She could be an Israelite. See, and that's how they think. They think that your ancestry goes through your mother, and it doesn't. She is represented in the lawsuit by Railman Colfax law firm. And yeah, them so-called Jews, they'll throw a monkey wrench in y'all game. These people going, Esau, he ready to race war it out, man, because it's really division, because it's sad that you don't know that y'all the same people, in a sense, you know what I'm saying, because you really need to get together. But actually, you're the top tribe of the so-called white people, Amalek, he has fooled the world into thinking that, no, we're not white people, we're Jewish. And they're not going to tell you anything about the other tribes. Yeah, the whole 12 tribes are us. that type of shit. It says on its website, return to the land promotes, and that's some so-called Israeli shit too, because that's what they say about returning to Israel over there. Return to Land promotes itself as a private membership association for individuals and families with traditional views and common continental ancestry. And in addition to its Ozarks regional chapter, which covers parts of Arkansas, Missouri, and eastern Oklahoma, Return to the Land says it has chapters around the United States. Now imagine so-called black people saying, you know what? We got our own land. You know what I'm saying? We don't want nothing to do with none of you other races. Stay the fuck out. You Chinese people can't open up no damn sushi shop in this bitch. You ain't opening up no beauty supply store. You fucking you Jews, you're not coming off in here with no damn banks. You Ishmaelites, you're not running y'all asses up off of here with no supermarkets, no mechanic shops, and none of that shit. Just imagine Jake saying, nope, this is just gonna be all nigga shit, all so-called black. Jake, they try to do little stuff like that, but just imagine on this level, because they've been doing this and it's legal. They're actually successful at this shit. But see, when it comes to Jake and Jake trying to do something like that, nah, man, they coming after your ass. They coming after you. You better believe it. It says, let me see what else. After reports that Return to Land was eyeing the Springfield, Missouri area for a whites-only community, Springfield City Council said in a Facebook post last July that there was no place in the city or anywhere for such a divisive and discriminatory vision. Well, hey, this is what Esau wants, man. And I say let him have it, shit. Because, hey, you gave me the opportunity to not see one of these motherfuckers again. I'm going for it. And that's what the kingdom is going to be about. We ain't going to be around you just because we're forced to be around you. Fuck that. We're going to have gated communities where you motherfuckers is not going to be fucking allowed. Anyway, Pennsylvania State House in April passed by an ultra slim vote, 101 to 100, a bill to block the creation of white-only housing communities. See that? And look how close that is. You think that would have just been a unanimous decision from everybody. They won that vote by one vote. House Bill 2103 followed Return to the Land's believed intention to expand to Pennsylvania and other states. Which, I mean, hey, you ask me, shit, hey, America big enough for everybody to have their own shit. But that's not Esau. Esau, he's on that Tower of Babel thinking, man, where he wants everybody to fucking gather, man. So, hey, I'm not tripping on them so-called white people wanting to be to themselves. They should be, because the Lord divided the nations and gave everybody their land. Now, it's not like, okay, you can't, there was always times in history where they done business. Well, this king may knew that king, may done some trade, you're doing imports, exports, and, almost like how China and U.S. is, type of deal, you know what I'm saying? I got something that you want, you got something that I want, and it's just both are sovereign. They got their own governments. But see, when it comes to you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, these so-called white people, they want to be over you, but at the same time, they want to be free. They want to have their sovereignty without giving you sovereignty. They don't want you to have no sovereignty. How dare you? But overall, this is just that perpetual hatred of Esau. I'll end out with that. Yahweh. Esau got a real perpetual hatred for you, Jake. That's why we tell you to be careful to walk circumspectly around these people. They have the power to kill. The scriptures talks about staying away from the man and have the power to kill. So why, as a husband, he's weak as hell, the so-called black husband. You weak as hell, man, if you allowing your woman to just run around and she's doing all this shit. And then all of a sudden, you supposed to just pack up your bags and move to a place that she got for y'all. Nah, man, you supposed to be making them decisions. Ezekiel 35:5, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. So blood is about to be on y'all ass, man. You know what I'm saying? You Edomites, because y'all hunt for sport, man. You hunt men, you hunt animals, you hunt damn insects, you hunt fucking every damn thing, and your ass is gonna become the hunted. You're about to become the one that's being run down and dragged out of a damn cave somewhere. So Just know that, hey, you reap what you sown. And again, those curses are falling upon Esau. That Deuteronomy 30:7. Those curses are falling on Esau bad, man, because again, if he was doing so well, he wouldn't have to resort to what he, trying to have these all white communities like that. They get it, they understand, like, you know what I'm saying? Because they understand that their daughters, them daughters, man, they own these niggas now. And you best believe if they got anything to do with a TV or if they got anything to do with social media, they gawking over a nigga anyway. You know, here you go, Esau. He out here. He trying to, he trying to be on an Amish level. Like them Amish, them Edomites. You know what I'm saying? Even they women been getting up out of there. They had them lifestyles of just living off the land and living good. You ask me, shit. But yeah, but a lot of those. Now you see these Amish women on social media talking about how they was there and how they was oppressed and all this other shit. Bitch, you was living good. You had men that could build a community, men that could build houses, men that could, that can self-sustain and do all these different things. You had, great farms, your food was organic and all this other shit. And then you let these other Edomites tell you, yeah, bitch, you being oppressed. You need to come to the city and be, and now all of a sudden you a damn whore. Anyway, I'm gonna end out there, man. Pray that the lesson was edifying. Just really wanted to point out the fact that, let's go to this guy again. Point out the fact that you so-called blacks are the real Judites, man. The Lord don't look like this fucker right here, man. So with that, hey, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwame Allah and a Bible ball.